The other day, I was helping my mom move when we found my old JV football film. Since then, I've come a long way with my throwing mechanics. I'm gonna show you how I went from throwing like this to throwing like this. Back then, I didn't really understand how to throw, and it led to me being very inconsistent. I used to sit on YouTube and watch videos of NFL quarterbacks throwing for hours and hours and try to understand what they were doing and then copy them. I really thought I was throwing like Drew Brees. It never fully clicked though until I started doing a few things differently. The first thing I did was record videos of me throwing so I could actually see what I was doing wrong. This made me aware of the things that I needed to change. I never had an expert level teacher show me how to throw. Like my dad taught me as much as he could, but he played safety in high school. He wasn't a quarterback. He still had a cannon though. But I remember we used to watch videos together about how NFL quarterbacks grip the ball, and I would try to emulate that and do the same thing as them. And to be honest, after changing my grip, I struggled to throw spirals for like 2 whole years, and it wasn't even until like my senior year of high school that I was consistently able to throw a spiral. The next thing I did to fix my motion was focus on rehearsals. So to rehearse, I would just go through the motions without a ball. Like I would do what I want to do with my arm motion without the ball all the time. If you don't have a good arm action, I would watch video after video of NFL quarterbacks and try to copy exactly what they would do with their arm motion and try to implement it when I throw. The arm path I was practicing was extremely simple. You literally just pull it back to here and then make a small J shape with your arm to there. It seems fairly simple and it might seem like you're doing this, but oftentimes you might not be doing it. That's why it's important to record yourself throwing so you can become aware of the things that you do good and the things that you do bad. So when you're at the field and you're warming up and you're getting ready to have a training session, make sure you go through your rehearsals throughout the workout and before the workout, just so you can get down how you're supposed to be moving. You see NFL quarterbacks do this all the time.
This is what I used to do. I used to do the same thing. I just start going home, I was going like this.
Over time, all of these throw rehearsals started to pay off, and all of a sudden my motion got quicker, more efficient, I was more accurate, and I just became a way better thrower of the football. And it all came from me just being consistent and working my arm motion and building it into habit. I would do these rehearsals in front of the mirror as much as I could because it was really helpful to be able to see what it looked like to do it right. And after doing that, I would go out to practice and all the little things I was doing wrong started to make more sense. It's a process. It didn't happen overnight. It took me years to figure out how to get it right. I still wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be. I didn't really understand how to use my base or how to sequence properly. And because of this, I had really good days sometimes, and I had really bad days sometimes. Like some days it just felt like I completely forgot how to throw a football. This may sound crazy to you, but I really leveled up as a thrower when I started playing golf. The process of learning how to swing a club taught me how to use leverage on a different level. Swinging a golf club and throwing a football are kind of similar on an elemental level, but the positions that you get in to make it happen are completely different. I was able to make those connections between the similar elements and then apply what I learned in the golf swing back to myself as a thrower. It was things like understanding how your right elbow needs to be in front of your shoulder and in external rotation before you start rotating to transfer the power from your bigger muscles up. Rotating your hips through before your arm is in that position and ready to come through causes a huge loss of power, and you miss that small window of acceleration from your hips. That's why I love drills that get you used to being in that position and throwing from it, like this warm-up drill. When I say your right elbow has to be in front of your right shoulder, what I mean is when you go to throw, you have to stay closed until you transition your arm so it's in front of your shoulder. Right now, my elbow's at my shoulder. It's behind my shoulder, it's in front of my shoulder. So you have to make sure you go from here to there before you start rotating open. If you start rotating before your elbow is transitioned, you're gonna miss that window of acceleration from your hips and your core. So if your arm isn't ready to accelerate as soon as your body does that, you're gonna leak out all of your power and it's not gonna transfer properly. Also, understanding how you have to keep your front side stable and tight as you rotate through really helped me dial in my accuracy and eliminate unnecessary variables from my throwing motion. The more loose and flimsy your front side is when you throw, the more issues you're gonna have. It's just natural because you can't control when you do something different every time with your front side or you're kind of loose. It's gonna introduce extra variables in your throwing motion that are gonna throw you off. When you go to throw, try to keep your arm tight to your body right here and keep your front side stable. I don't want you to let this shoulder
break out this way, and I don't want it to break out that way either. I want you to stay tall and just rotate.
And even understanding that I needed to be rotating my hips and not sliding my hips forward through the throwing motion. Because when you rotate as opposed to sliding your hips forward, you get a lot more power with a lot less effort, just in a shorter window.
Watch how on this first rep, my back hip gets through slower. In the second rep, my back hip gets through way faster. You see, I was unaware of all the bad habits that I had with my upper and my lower body. I had a horrible habit of sliding my hips forward when I went to throw, which prevented me from getting the most power into my throws. So me learning how to use my front foot to post up off of and keep my chest behind my knee and keep my knee behind my foot allowed power to transfer up more efficiently. And then I began really driving the ball downfield with ease, like I had never had before. An NFL quarterback that does a really good job of this is Will Levis. Watch when he throws. He has a very good front side, and he's very good with his front leg and rotating through his throw and not sliding forward.
And finally, understanding that your hips must be turning through the release really helped me understand how to sequence properly. All of a sudden, throw velocity came super easy to me and the ball was just jumping out of my hands with less effort.
I also used to have a horrible habit of maxing my hips out before I was ready to throw the ball. So as soon as I would go, I would get all my weight onto my front foot and turn my hips way too early before my arm was ready to throw the ball, and it caused severe losses of power. I'm talking, I would try to go throw a deep out and the ball would just be low. And I always wondered why I was losing power. I always thought it was just because I was tired or not in shape. But really I was just inefficient with how I used my hips during the throw. So one of the key throw feels that I like to do to feel in tune with my hips is I like to feel like I'm only halfway open by the time the ball releases. When I do that, I'm actually turning through the throw and I'm not turning before the throw and then losing power. So next time you're out at the field, try it. Time out your motion so your hips are only halfway open by the time the ball releases out of your hand. Now, it might not be exactly at that position. It's a feeling that's really overemphasized just to help you feel more in tune with your lower body.
I call it power consistency. You know, you're not losing power on a throw-to-throw basis. I always thought the more hip-shoulder dissociation, the better. But the truth is, it's about the balance of how much dissociation you get and how quickly it dissociates from when you snap through. For example, if your hips go and it takes a long time for your arm to get through, you might have a lot of dissociation, but all that power is going to be lost. But if you move together and you get a lot of dissociation in a short amount of time, that power is going to transfer up very efficiently and you're going to be snapping the ball.
I always thought the more you could separate your hips from your shoulders, the better. But that's actually wrong. It's actually all about the balance behind how much separation you can get and how short of a window. If you get a lot of separation, but it's a long time between when you separate and when you throw, you're not gonna get all the power that you wanna get into your throw. You wanna get as much separation as you can, but also close that separation as quick as you can to really snap through the throw.
None of these changes happened for me overnight. It took a long process of trial and error for me to eventually understand it and get it right. After years of chipping away at my throwing motion and constantly searching for ways to improve, I feel like I finally arrived at a place where I'm pretty content with how I throw a football. So if you're not where you want to be with your throwing abilities, don't worry, because if I can do it, you can do it too. I don't have any special abilities. I'm not naturally gifted or extra special or nothing like that. I literally taught myself how to do this. And if I can figure it out, you can too. Especially because I'm literally on here giving you guys the sauce and showing you how I did it. But regardless of what I know and what I learned, I had to put the work in to actually make the changes that I needed to. You can already know all these things I've talked about in this video and still not throw good, but that's because you're not working at it. You have to put the work in on a consistent basis to build the right habits into place so you can begin to make these changes and level up. So if this is something that you really want, it's time to get to work. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want help with your throwing motion, go to my website at throwdimes.com where I offer one-on-one virtual coaching. Summer's here. It's time to tighten up before next football season. Let's get to work. I'll see you guys in the next video.